The Vreth Empire had conquered 43 worlds. They had done it methodically, surgically, and without mercy. Their warships moved like black shadows across the stars, their weapons capable of reducing a continent to glass in under 6 minutes. For 300 years, the Vreth had studied every species they intended to conquer, learning their biology, their weaknesses, their breaking points, before the first shot was ever fired. They were, by every measurable standard in the known galaxy, the perfect warriors. When their long-range scouts finally discovered Earth, Supreme Commander Voras studied the blue-green planet from the bridge of his flagship and felt something he rarely allowed himself: amusement. "Primitive," said his tactical officer, Drex, scrolling through centuries of intercepted human broadcasts. "They have been fighting each other for their entire recorded history. Tribal conflicts. Border wars. Civil wars. They cannot even agree on a single governing body." Voras clasped his four-fingered hands behind his back. "A species divided. Good. How long to full conquest?" "Our models project 42 days, Commander. Perhaps less." Voras nodded slowly. "Send the declaration." The transmission reached Earth on a Tuesday morning. At the United Nations Emergency Assembly in New York, every screen in the building displayed the angular, gray-skinned face of Supreme Commander Voras. His translator module rendered his words into every human language simultaneously. "People of Earth. You have 14 of your planetary rotations to surrender your world unconditionally. Resistance will result in the total annihilation of your population centers. We have studied your species extensively. We know you are fractured, violent, and incapable of unified action. Lay down your weapons. This is the only mercy the Vreth Empire offers." The transmission ended. For exactly 4 seconds, the chamber was completely silent. Then General Marcus Webb of the United States Joint Chiefs stood up from his seat, loosened his tie, and said something that would later be carved into the wall of the Pentagon's Hall of Honor. "Well, they just made the biggest mistake in the history of this galaxy." The Vreth had studied human warfare. They had watched the recordings. They had analyzed the strategies. They had catalogued every weapon, every military doctrine, every historical battle. What they failed to understand was the thing that lived underneath all of it. They did not understand what happened to humans when something threatened their children. They did not understand what 4 years of industrial warfare had done to the American manufacturing base in 1944, or how that muscle memory lived in the bones of a civilization. They did not understand that a species which had survived 2 world wars, a Cold War, and decades of asymmetric conflict against enemies who hid in mountains and deserts had not grown soft, it had grown adaptive. They did not understand that human beings, uniquely among all 44 species the Vreth had ever encountered, actually got angry. Not tactically aggressive. Not defensively reactive. Genuinely, dangerously, creatively furious. On day 1, every nation on Earth suspended its border disputes and signed the Washington Accord in under 6 hours, the fastest diplomatic agreement in human history. On day 3, Colonel Diane Hartley of DARPA activated 17 black-budget weapons programs that officially did not exist. On day 7, the first human counterattack reached Vreth forward positions in the asteroid belt. It did not use conventional missiles. It used kinetic impactors disguised as debris, rocks, essentially. Accelerated to a fraction of the speed of light. The Vreth had no countermeasure on file because no species had ever weaponized garbage before. Drex stared at his damage report. "They threw rocks at us." "Rocks moving at 11 kilometers per second, corrected his subordinate quietly. On day 14, 3 Vreth destroyers vanished near Jupiter. No energy signatures. No warning. It took 4 days to determine that human submarines. Submarine spacecraft, a concept the Vreth Tactical Database had flagged as absurd, had been hiding inside the gas giant's upper atmosphere. On day 29, Supreme Commander Voras stopped sleeping. On day 38, He called his war council together and spoke words that had never once been uttered by a Vreth commander in 3 centuries of conquest. We need to talk about withdrawal. When the Vreth fleet retreated beyond the outer solar system, they sent one final transmission. Not to the United Nations. Not to any world leader. They sent it directly to General Marcus Webb. We studied your wars. We studied your weapons. We studied your history. We believed we understood you. Webb leaned into the microphone. Nobody understands us, he said. That's what makes us dangerous. He cut the channel. Outside the window, the sun was rising over Washington. Somewhere across the city, people were already going back to arguing about politics, football, and the price of groceries. The most terrifying species in the galaxy. Completely unbothered.